Hello, my name is Jolene Cisneros. I am a history student at San Diego State University, and I'm set to graduate this May of 2021. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about my experience during my internship at Old Town State Historic Park. So, my expectations for the internship ended up to be really different. I thought we were going to be given assigned work, assigned research. I thought everything was going to remain online, but luckily, we were able to physically go into the park. We were able to pick our own assignments, and I chose to do digital essays, and I chose my own topics on those essays. So when we were given the opportunity, once COVID started getting better, to go into the park, we were given the option of doing office work or to do the period attire clothing. And at first, I was really nervous to wear the clothing and to go out into the park and talk to people. So what ended up being my biggest challenge, going out there and having to talk to people ended up being my favorite part of the internship. And at first, I was just really nervous to wear the clothing, go out and talk to people. And I was still nervous and talking to people about history, still needed to work on that. So, definitely through the internship, 100%, I bettered my ability in talking to people, being comfortable talking to people. So if you are someone who struggles with that, or if you're someone who loves to talk to people about history, then I definitely recommend doing the internship because you do get to work on that. You get to learn so much about San Diego history. And it's really cool being able to talk to people who love history as much as you do and get excited about history the way you do. So that was definitely like the biggest plus for me during the internship. And it did change my perception of Old Town just because I always I was born in San Diego, so I always kind of put San Diego history on the back burner, I guess, and never really paid much attention to it. And I was focused on different types of history, and I really did get to find my love for San Diego history and all that it has to offer. And yeah, so I'm gonna share with you a little bit of what I did, my digital essays. Let me see. Here we go. So I wrote three. My first one is a little bit on like Spanish exploration and California missions. So I touch on Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, who came here in 1542. And there was very little known about Alta California at the time. And a lot of people thought it was like an island or a large cluster of islands. And as the Spanish began to explore more of them, it began to pique their interest. But it wouldn't be until the threat of other European powers coming in and possibly taking that land and using it for their own benefit that they really did throw the hammer down and kind of claim it as their own. And California missions were very much used, well, in my opinion, were used as a tool to manage Indians and to make them loyal under the Spanish crown. So it was very much to their benefit. And touched a little bit on Father Sarah, who he was the leader of the first mission built in California in San Diego in 1769. And if it wasn't for him, I mean, who knows what would have happened, but he was very, very devoted to converting Indians and building these missions and saving them. And he touches a lot on, how shocked he was at, how they lived in their little mud and straw huts. And a lot of them were naked and they wore very little clothing, if any clothing at all. And it was the Kumeyaay that he came in contact with. And it was very much not it was difficult for him at first to get them to convert. They were very resistant to the point of, shedding some blood because they didn't want them there, they didn't trust them. And of course, Spanish very much saw them as, docile, weak people they could easily take advantage of, people they could easily colonize and convert to their religion and therefore control. And they tried to bring them in with like food and gifts, and just didn't really have didn't really work that much in their benefit. But Father Sarah would end up going north and creating 20 other missions in California. So that was a little bit about that one. And then I wrote about John D. Spreckles, which, of course, growing up in San Diego, I heard the name Spreckles a lot, but I never really looked that deep into the history of it. And I was really fascinated by him and also his father Klaus, and a little bit about his beginning, because he grew up in a like poor farming community in northern Germany. And then when he came here, he was very young, 19 years old, I believe. Yeah, in 1846. He barely had any money. He spoke no English, and he really is like that stereotypical rags to riches American dream story, where he started out as a grocer, then he went on to brewery, and then finally he hit his moneymaker sugar, and he really studied and learned, the art of it and how to operate and all that stuff, and he became one of the richest person in California. And yeah, his four sons ended up being, millionaires in their own right. And one of the more famous ones, John D. Spreckles, he's known for coming into California, and it's this tiny little town, not much going on, and he saw the vision of what he could do with San Diego. And from then on, I believe it was in 1906 when the San Francisco fires, when the earthquake happened, and he was already investing in San Diego prior to that. But after that, that's when he came down here with his family, and it really just took off from there. And I mean, the Hotel de Coronado, he invested in that. Belmont Park, um, the newspaper, San Diego Union and the Tribune. He's responsible for, yeah, right here, the San Diego and Arizona Railroad, which really opened up San Diego to the east and just brought even more prosperity for San Diego. And also the Estudillo Casa in Old Town in 1906, it was practically laying in ruins. It's this beautiful adobe building built in the late 1820s by Jose Estudillo, but it wasn't very well taken care of after they left. I believe in the 1880s it was, and he saw the opportunity to take that building and transform it into like a tourist attraction. So he turned it into Ramona's marriage place after the popular novel by Helen Hunt Jackson titled Ramona. And a lot of people believe that was the site of the main character's love story. So he transformed he transformed that place, and it brought in a lot of tourism, a lot of money, and and he was able to do that with a lot of things. And the last one I wrote is probably one of my favorite topics in history, which is the American Indian boarding schools. And I got this really great book called Education for Extinction by David Wallace Adams, I believe is his name. And it basically talks about just the experience of these young children, these young Indian children who were forced to go into these schools and taken from their families, kept from their families for many months out of the year. And, they couldn't wear their clothing, they couldn't really speak their language. And a lot of the young boys had to cut their hair. And this was all in an effort of, civilizing them, to Americanize them, to make them beneficial to American society, because a lot of people at that time didn't view them as useful if they were, in their in their ways and like the way they were in their culture. So these photos are from the Sherman Institute, which was located in Riverside, California. So yeah, the girls were very much taught very like domesticated things like sewing, cooking, cleaning, child care, and boys were taught more like outside work, I guess. And I speak a little bit of how they were punished and how a lot of students resisted and what they were sort of taught in schools. So yeah, it was very much a way to assimilate them into American culture, convert them to this Christianity religion. And yeah, very powerful how a lot of them resisted in their own ways. So yeah, those are my essays. And any advice I have to future interns is to just, well, my favorite part was of course the period attire, wearing the clothing. So if you truly want like the full experience and to get the most out of your internship, I would definitely recommend doing that. Um, yeah. So thank you so much for watching and good luck. Thank you. Bye bye.